Today, I'm going to show you how to grind your own burger meat fresh and beautiful using the Kitchenaid mixer. It's simple and I can't wait to cook with you. So today, I'm going to show you how to grind your own meat fresh using the Kitchenaid, the meat grinder attachment, and some nice cuts of beef. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is really how to use the meat grinder. The meat grinder is a simple attachment that you can use for the Kitchenaid. So if you got a Kitchenaid mixer, these things are fantastic machines and you can get a lot of different attachments. So the meat grinder, you start with the hopper. So the hopper, and you have the set screw up here. So I'm going to loosen the set screw, and then I'm going to put the hopper in and set it like so. And then we'll take the corkscrew, right? And it goes in. Sometimes you gotta give it a little extra push. And then what's really cool about the Kitchenaid, so it's got blades on both sides of it, so you really can't put it in wrong. And it sets in and it's got its own square that matches up. And then we have the plates. So the grinding plates, you can get different sizes of them. This is one of the smaller sizes, and this particular one came with two, came with a small and a large. And you can buy other accessories in different sizes. And so the plate goes on, and you want to make sure it's all flush right here. If it's not flush, most likely the screw is kind of sticking out a little bit, and so you just want to push it in, and then you can put on the cap, and then it comes with the push stick, but the push stick has dual purpose. So you can take your push stick here, and you can use it as a wrench to tighten that down and loosen it later, and then it's also your push stick. Finally, I come and tighten the set screw, and this thing is ready to use. Using a Kitchenaid attachment to grind meat is just so easy. If you want to pick up your own, you can click on the link in the description for an Amazon link to take you right to this and purchase your own. They are inexpensive but super versatile. You can use them for grinding meat, grinding chicken, grinding pork, even grinding fruit. You name it, you can use a meat grinder for it. And you'll just enjoy your cooking more at home, having this at your disposal to use whenever you need. Hey, if you're learning something, hit the like button and subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our channel. The next part on the list is let's talk about the beef, okay? So I've got two main cuts of beef here today. We've got some sirloin tip, which kind of comes from the round, from really the top of the leg, and we also have some chuck. And the chuck comes from the shoulder. You can choose the outcome of your burgers by choosing the particular cuts that you want to use. And so typically the center cuts, the center cut portions of the animal, those are reserved for like steaks, things that are just easy for us to chew because these have low movement. And so these muscles are soft and easier for us to chew. But there's cuts from the shoulder and the cuts from the leg. Those muscles get worked a lot, super, super tough, but they have so much great flavor. So when I make burgers, I like to kind of mix and match, and this is one of the beautiful things about having a meat grinder and grinding your own meat, is you get to choose the cuts of meat you want, and you can play with it. So you can buy a couple different cuts this week and make some burgers. Next week, you can buy a couple other cuts and mix them together and kind of find the burger recipe that you thoroughly enjoy. I've heard some people put a little tongue in it because the tongue gets worked a lot, so it has lots of flavor. Same thing with the cheeks, and same thing with the oxtail. This one's a little bit leaner on the interior of the meat, so we get a lot of great flavor from just the meat itself. But then the chuck has a lot of great fat, and when fat heats up, we know that the fat cells, when they open up, they actually burst open when they get heated, and they release a lot of flavor. And so I get to kind of mix and match and choose my flavor and my fat content to customize my own burgers. Now, also, when you're grinding your meat will almost always be fresher. So when you can buy a larger cut of meat, then it gets to you quicker because it needs less handling by humans. So it gets to you quicker, and so it's fresher. And then also it hasn't all the meat hasn't completely mixed with the open oxygen, which will start to change the way the meat reacts. Oxygen reacts to the myoglobin that's inside the meat, and so that changes how the meat reacts, how the meat tastes. And when you get larger cuts of meat, you get to control all of that. It's a wise thing for you to do. Hey, if you're learning something, hit the like button and subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our channel. Also, when you buy your own meat, most likely you can make your burgers for a lot less expensive. And so when you buy ground meat at the grocery store, most likely it's ground chuck or it's a mixture of different parts of the animal. Basically, it's trim meat. So when they're trimming the cow to make steaks and other cuts, all the trim meat kind of goes into a huge hopper like this, and they grind it and they package it up for you. But when you pick your own cuts of meat, the price per pound will be much less than if it's ground, and again allows you the ability to customize it, and it gives you some other benefits too. So one of the first being the amount of fat that you want to put into your grind. And if you want to learn how to cut your own steaks, there'll be a link in the description to one of our other videos on how you can actually cut your own steaks and save money doing that. And so here, I'm going to actually seam out some of this chuck, and I'm going to keep some of the fat content that I would like. And if there's any really tough connective tissue, I might take some of that out. But I don't mind some of the fat that's in here. I actually want some of that. And then I might save some of this for when I actually cook my burgers, because that's what we're going to turn this into. Now, when you're cutting this meat, the only thing you need to be concerned about is cutting it in a size that'll fit down in the hole. And so that's all you're really looking for. You need to feel around. I'm always feeling meat just for bone fragments and hard pieces that may have been missed during the initial butchering process. Right. And so again, I don't want all this fat that's in the middle here, so I'm going to take some of that out. And I'm going to save some of that for a little bit later. Okay. Some of that I do want. So I'm just going to take a hunk of that. One other piece. And as you can see, this meat is definitely much leaner as far as the extramuscular fat. So this hard fat here melts down really nice. But the interior of this one doesn't have a ton of large marbling. And so that's why we're mixing these two together. And when you buy a large cut of meat and you don't want to use it all for your burgers today, that's fine. You could save this as a roast. You could cut this up in pieces like I'm doing now so I can freeze it. So I'm going to freeze it in smaller pieces so then I can pull out what I need and just thaw it as needed to do other applications, whether I'm going to grind it for more burgers or meatloaf or something like that. And there you have it. All my meat here is ready for grinding. So now we're going to grind the meat. We have the Kitchenaid Meat Grinding attachment hooked to the Kitchenaid mixer. I like to turn it on to 6. That's about the speed I'm looking for. A couple things you want to keep in mind while you're grinding is listen to the machine, all right? Because as you're putting it in, you can put it in, and most of the time I just use the meat as its own push stick. And as it's going through, if you feel or listen to the machine and the Kitchenaid motor starts to whoa, kind of like slow down, just don't press quite as hard and let the machine's speed catch back up. Now also when you're grinding meat, most of the time it is good to chill your meat or even put it into the freezer so where it's not hard, but it starts to get hard just a little bit, but not solid all the way through frozen. When fat is cold, it cuts easier. So that's just a good cooking tip for you as well. When fat is cold, it cuts much easier. Also, safety-wise, I always keep the bowl in place because the Kitchenaid still spins, and not that I have long flowing hair, but if you had long flowing hair and the bowl's not there, your hair can get caught in there. Hey, if you're learning something, hit the like button and subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our channel. Another tip about the Kitchenaid is if there's no meat in it, I don't have it running. Because of the friction that builds up, I definitely want to keep the meat is somewhat of the lubricant in this scenario. If you're interested in learning how to use a Kitchenaid mixer, my wife did a great KitchenAid 101 video that you can see on our YouTube channel. We'll put the link in the description so that you can learn how to master this fantastic piece of kitchen equipment. When you get to the end of all your meat, then you just want to let the grinder keep going for about 15 or 20 seconds. It's still kind of spitting out some more meat, and then it's going to get to a point where it pretty much is done. And from there, you can take your handle and undo the screw cap, and we're just going to take it apart, piece. So you take off the screw, undo the set screw, wiggle that out, and then this piece here, if you just push it, that pushes everything apart. And there's always a chunk left. And then you can take it and get it washed. And that's done. Hey, if you like this video and you're learning something, hit the like button and subscribe to the Sweet and Savory Classroom YouTube channel. We love to have you a part of what we do, and we give you in-depth tutorials on how to cook better at home with professional chef tips for you. And then hit that notification bell so you make sure that you get all of our newest videos and stay up to date with everything that we're doing here at the classroom.